Hey girl, you are now tuned into the Allow Yourself Grace podcast, the space where we get real, we get raw, and give ourselves permission to rise anyway. I'm your host, Courtney Kristen, and I'm here to walk with you through the moments that demand change, the seasons that force us to pivot, and the experiences that invite us to shift, not just our mindset, but our entire way of showing up in the world. This space is for anyone learning to release perfection, embrace the process, and find power in the pause. Because growth isn't always pretty, but it's always possible when you allow yourself grace. So take a deep breath, settle in, and let's get into the episode. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Allow Yourself Grace podcast. I'm your host, Courtney Kristen. If you're new here, y'all, I am so happy to be back. It's been 6 weeks. Yeah, I know y'all been counting. I've been counting as well. And I am back. And I'm super excited to be back. And I'm super excited to finish out this season and continue to bring you guys great episodes, great info. As I mentioned before, I went on this little hiatus, unplanned at that, but there's good things coming to AYG. A lot of good things, a lot of behind the scene things that I have been working on. But I want to get into today's episode because it's something that has been really, really on my heart, and God has been really pushing me to talk about this on my platform. And the more responsibility that I get as a leader and as a entrepreneur, it just becomes heavier, right? It becomes heavier. It becomes a little bit more pressure than what I started with initially. And so I'm taking on things that I've never taken on before. And I'm sure many of you are taking on new things in this season of your life, and things are happening. And sometimes things are happening so fast that you have to take a step back and really, really assess and really, really sharpen your skills as a leader. And as humans, when we are leaders, we tend to lead with our hearts. And the question that I want to pose, and this is the question that I have been studying and I have been doing research on, because it's something that is common between kingdom entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs in general, but really kingdom entrepreneurs. And I really, really want to touch on it. And so today's episode, I want to talk about leading with your heart without bleeding on others. And that can be the most difficult thing to do sometimes. I don't know about you, but have you ever been um the person who leads with love? You lead, like, you genuinely lead with love, and you give your all. You show up when you're supposed to show up. You show up genuine, and you still end up hurt. And now you're trying to figure out how to feel, how to feel without becoming cold, without shutting down, without putting up a wall, and to prevent from hurting other people, because you don't want to be the person hurting other people in the process of you trying to heal from people who hurt you. So today we're talking about what it really takes to be a leader and what it really means to lead with your heart, and how to stop bleeding on others while we're going through that healing process. And people that don't know what we've been through, we tend to bleed on them. And so I want to talk about how to stop bleeding on people who didn't cut you. Okay. So the first thing that I want to address is being a heart-led person. It comes with the cost, y'all. Being a person who genuinely cares for people, who genuinely wants to see other people win, it comes with the cost. And In order to be a person who literally works from the heart, who gives from the heart, we have to be honest with ourselves. And being honest with ourselves means that leading with your heart, it can be a beautiful thing, but it's not always easy. It's not going to always be something that's pleasant to do. You love deeply, you give people the benefit of the doubt all the time, you show up fully, but sometimes people don't handle that with care. They don't handle your heart the right way. And the thing that I like to say is everybody doesn't have your heart. Everybody does not have the genuineness that you have. They're not willing to give as much as you're willing to give. They're not willing to adapt as much as you're willing to adapt. And so when you enter those types of relationships, whether that be in business, whether that be personal, you have to know that you could get hurt during the process, but you also have to make sure that your boundaries are in place, because you don't want to ever compromise your looking for the right word here, but you don't want to ever compromise who you are to protect other people. You don't want to ever put yourself in a position to not be kind because other people aren't kind to you. You don't ever want to put yourself in the spot where all of the burden of whatever that relationship has, everything is on you. You want to make sure that the relationship is balanced. And that's what putting those boundaries in place can do. Trust me, I've learned that the hard way, right? We've all put ourselves out there on the line once upon a time, and we've given our all, we've made adjustments, we've adapted, we did all these things for other people, and we've got nothing in return. And when that happens, it can make you question everything, even yourself. Even yourself. Um you feel taken advantage of, you feel unappreciated, wondering if, you should change who you are, you should change what you're doing. Like, it will literally have you thinking about adjusting your systems, the way you do things. You're rushing, you're making extra time for people, and they cancel appointments on you, right? Or they say, "Oh, I can't make it at the time that you guys were supposed to meet." You've gotten up early, you've gotten dressed, you're there, you're waiting, and then they cancel on you. Like, of course, your heart wants to be understanding. And there's been times when you've been like, "Okay, I understand. Life happens, things happen." But just because someone mishandled your heart, it doesn't mean you were wrong for having one, right? It doesn't mean that you were wrong for having one. It just means that, okay, I'm learning how to handle them in the way that's going to best benefit me, that's going to protect my heart. Because you're not wrong for being like, okay, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give them grace, but there's only so many times that you can allow a person to do the same thing over and over. And again, this could be business wise or it can be personal wise. And I had to learn that. I had to learn that just because I say no doesn't make me a bad person, or just because I refuse to allow someone to continue to treat me a certain way, or to come to my place of business and behave a certain way, or to do a certain thing, doesn't mean that I'm a bad person, doesn't mean that I don't have a heart. I'm always going to have a heart for people, but at the same time, I need to make sure that I have boundaries. The hurt doesn't go away. It doesn't go away overnight, but the truth is, when you get hurt, it doesn't just disappear. It's not going to just disappear, but you have to make sure that your unhealed hurt doesn't turn into, you know, irritation. It doesn't turn into distance. It doesn't turn into trust issues. And if it does, you have to be very, very careful how you handle certain people, right? Because you could be missing out on your blessings. You could block the people who are actually trying to do the right thing with you, because now you're getting irritated with everybody. You don't have any patience anymore because you let one person ruin it for everybody. You don't trust anybody anymore because you let one person repeatedly disappoint you, and now you have a wall up with everybody else when really God could be sending some genuine people your way. And that pain can start showing up in places that it doesn't really belong. You know, you could be dealing with somebody who's so genuine, who really, really wants to help you, who wants to be a part of what you have going on, who wants to support you, who wants to be a customer, and they actually, they have a heart for you. They have a heart for your business, but you're hurt, right? You're hurt from those past experiences. And so you have this wall up and you miss out on the blessings that God is sending through them your way. And so you start reacting to people who didn't do anything to you based on what someone else did, right? Unhealed pain doesn't stay contained, it spills over. You're going to hear it in your conversation. You're going to see it in how you do things. It's going to spill over, and it doesn't always look pretty. It does not always look pretty. Sometimes the end result is not going to be what you think it should be. Sometimes you may have to go back and apologize. You may have to go back and say, "Oh, I'm sorry." And and when I look at the scope of things, everything is about communication. Keeping the lines of communication open with your family, with your friends, with your customers as an entrepreneur, with your audience as a creator, keeping those lines of communication and being transparent about who you are, what you have going on, and how you feel. And I think how you feel is valid. It's just all about how you communicate it. Stop bleeding on people who didn't cut you. You know, put that on your wall somewhere. Have it up. Don't bleed on people who didn't cut you. This is a part of what we have to learn to take accountability for. We have to learn how to be accountable for our part that we played throughout the process. The part of letting people continue to play with our emotions, letting people to continue to jump on our heads and we not do anything about it. But ow, ow, ow. It's kind of like when somebody's punching a punching bag. Somebody has to learn to stop and block those punches. You're gonna let people to keep punching you without defending yourself. That's nobody's fault but yours. I believe that we can still be kingdom minded. We can still interact in a way that God is pleased with, and still have boundaries in place, and still teach people how to treat us. We don't always have to immediately cut them off. We don't always immediately have to say, "Oh my God," or lash out. We don't have to do that. It's about communication. And I feel like people respect calm, positive, mature communication more than, "Oh, let me go off. Let me curse you out. Let me be rude." I think they respect like directness. They may not appreciate it in the beginning. They may be a little taken back by it, but I think ultimately you being direct is the answer. It is the key to making sure that people know where you stand and they know how you feel about a certain situation and they know the boundaries that you have in place. This is a part of who we are, and who we ultimately become throughout this process of maturing. Not everyone deserves your guarded version. Some people deserve the real you. They deserve, you know, who you aspire to be. They deserve that person. So don't let one or two people take your heart. Don't let one, two people make you guard your heart. Not everyone is your past. New people shouldn't have to pay for old pain. And again, that's across the board. New people should not have to pay for old pain. But that doesn't mean you ignore your feelings. It means you process them. process your feelings, think through your feelings, be willing to talk about it, be willing to communicate your feelings. The difference between protecting your peace versus pushing people away is being aware of your triggers. Be aware of what sets you off. Be aware of what doesn't sit well with you. Taking responsibility for your own healing. You have to take it in your hands. You have to take the bull by the horns, and it has to be in your hands. You're the only one that can control how you feel. You're the only one that can control how you communicate. Your healing is in your hands. Don't allow your healing to be in anyone else's hands but yours. When you give people the anger, when you give them the lash out, you're giving them too much power over you. Don't give them that much power. I'm not giving you that much power. I got one day to talk about you. The next day, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I don't want to harp on the same things. I communicated to you how I felt. I communicated to you my boundaries. If you don't respect them, cool. But now I know where we stand, right? And I know how to move. If you respect them, cool, we'll move accordingly. But I cannot allow myself to put up a guard for people who didn't cut me. Y'all, this is a heavy, heavy topic. This is a heavy topic because there's so many, many layers, many layers to this topic. Healing is not about pretending you're okay. It's about making sure your pain doesn't control how you treat others. You cannot operate out of pain. You can't, because you miss out on what God has for you. You miss out on the people that are meant to be in your life. You miss out on the genuine experiences that God wants you to have. Learn how to lead with your heart and protect it. You can still lead with your heart and protect it at the same time. Set boundaries without guilt. You shouldn't feel guilty about having boundaries in place. You can be kind and still have your limits. So, because I say no, because I have a limit, because I have a boundary, because I have rules for my life, because I have rules for my place of business, because I have rules for my house, does not make me unkind. Like, we have to get rid of that. We have to get rid of that thinking, that way of thinking. Having limits, having boundaries does not make you a mean person. It does not make you a bad person. Take your time with people. Everyone doesn't get full access to you immediately. Y'all, this thing has to be gradual. It has to be something that you ease into when you're giving people access to you. And if you are a person who makes friends easily, that's where you have to be careful at, right? Because you meet somebody one day and you're like, "Oh, that's my bestie." You just met the person. Like, let's ease into this. Yes, I like you. Yes, I'm getting to know you, but you have to give this stuff time. Okay? Don't give everybody everything up front, all right? You have to ease into it. Check your reactions. How am I reacting during certain situations? How am I responding when, I'm in this situation? Ask yourself, am I responding to this in a way that makes me feel comfortable? Am I responding to this based off of my past? Or am I responding to this based off of the moment that I'm currently in? Give yourself space to heal. Give yourself time to heal. You don't have to rush healing. It takes time. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen the next day. It takes time. You don't have to rush to make somebody else feel comfortable. Okay? Take your time. It's all about you. You don't have to harden your heart to protect it. You don't have to be cold to people. You don't have to be mean to people. You don't have to be closed-minded to meeting new people. You just have to be intentional. Okay? Be intentional. Be intentional about the places you go. Be intentional about where you spend your time, where you put your energy. Do everything with intention. We are moving with intention. We are in the second quarter of the year. And y'all, this year is breezing by. We are already in the month of April. We're in the month of April. And we're going to be in May soon. Like, we are moving, but we need to make sure we're moving with intention. Everything needs to have a purpose and a place. I want you to hear this clearly. If you don't hear anything else throughout this episode, I want you to hear that you don't have to stop being a loving person just because you got hurt. You don't have to become cold. You don't have to be distant. You don't have to be unavailable. But you don't have to barter who you are either. You don't have to, oh my God, I'm going to be this way one day and the next day I'm going to be like this. You don't have to do that either. But what you do have to do, you have a responsibility to heal. You have a responsibility to heal. You have a responsibility to heal so that your pain doesn't show up in places that it doesn't belong. That's your responsibility. Lead with your heart. Whatever you do, lead with your heart, lead with love. Just don't lose yourself in the process. It's easy to become consumed with everything you have going on. It's easy to be consumed with the people around you. It's easy to be consumed with the lives of others. We have so much access now to social media. We have so much insight and input on other people's lives. Don't be consumed. Enjoy your process. Focus on your process. Don't lose yourself in all of the chaos, all of the things that are going on, the expectations of others. Stay focused on your healing. Stay focused on your journey. Keep those boundaries in place and never, never, never stop leading with love. If this episode spoke to you, I want you to send it to someone who's healing right now, guys. We have to be willing to share with others the things we learn, the things we hear that are beneficial. We have to be open because there are tons of people, men, women, children, teenagers that are like going through things, and unfortunately they're suffering in silence because they feel like no one else is experiencing what they're experiencing. They feel like they're alone. They feel like every time I try to be a good person, someone does something to me, and now I'm going to be cold to everybody. You're not the only one that's been put in that situation. You're isolating yourself because you're afraid to put yourself out there again, because every time you do, you get hurt. Every time you put yourself in a new situation, an unknown outcome, you're kind of like, man, I always get a bad result. It's okay to stand in that. It's okay to take that all in. It's okay to process those things. But it's our responsibility to make sure that we go through the journey of healing. And healing is going to be ongoing. It's going to be something that you go through for the rest of your life. It's important that you not lose who you are as a person because someone else cut you, because multiple people cut you. A lot of us have been cut by our family. We've been cut by close friends. Everybody that we've let gotten close to us, they've cut us. And I know it hurts. I know it sucks. I know that every time you put yourself out there, you feel like, man, I get slapped in the face, I get stumped on. But don't stop being true to who you are at your core. Don't ever lose that because someone was unkind to you. Don't ever lose that because someone hurt you. I want you to keep standing in who you are, because I truly believe that God honors who you are. He honors who you are at your core. He honors the person that is a man or a woman after his own heart. Whatever he said in his word, y'all believe that, stand on that, continue to be true, continue to be genuine, continue to operate in truthfulness, continue to lead with love, Continue to have love in your heart because love conquers all. It conquers all and it covers a multitude of sins. There's nothing that you have done that God doesn't forgive you for. There's nothing that you have done that's so bad to turn him away. Okay? To be like, I'm not worthy. You are worthy of all the blessings. You're worthy of all the glory. There's still good people out here. There's still kingdom minded people out here. There's still people out here who are seeking the same genuineness that you are seeking. So you have to make sure that you stay open minded, right? You stay open hearted because there's people out here who will root for you more than the people that cut you, that you thought were in your corner. Like those close people that you thought, like, oh my God, they've been in my life for years. I know that they have my back. I know that they're going to always be there. Those people, and then they cut you. There's some people out here that God have assigned to your life. And so you have to be careful when you encounter people and you have this wall up and you're not allowing them to come in because of the people who cut you that you thought were going to be there. God is going to place people that you didn't think that you were going to meet, that you didn't think were going to support you, that you didn't even know anything about. He will put you in the right place at the right time and align that thing the way that he wants it to be aligned and place the people in the perfect spots that he knows that you need them to be in. And he'll show you that my grace is sufficient. I'm going to make sure that you have the people that you need. I'm going to make sure that you have the support system, right? That you have what you need in your life in order for you to do my will. And sometimes that means that he has to take that thing apart. He has to allow people to cut you. He has to allow you to go through things and experience things so that when I give you the people that I want you to have, you know how to handle them with care. You know how to handle them with love. And you know how to stay rooted in me and how to trust me throughout this process. And that is the hardest thing to do as a leader, is to continue to walk and trust God through the process. Because if you know anything about a leader, you're in the forefront. There's nobody in front of you. You're the person in the front, and you have the people behind you who are following you. And so, who are you following is the question. Are you following God or are you following your own plan? And we have to be careful with that because as leaders, we naturally want to jump in and we want to solve the problem and we want to figure out what the problem is and we want to figure out how we need to tweak the system when God is just saying, all I'm asking you to do is follow me. All I'm asking you to do is just plug into me and to tap into me. And you keep trying to figure it out when I'm right here and I'm waiting. I'm waiting. And sometimes your healing as a leader is connected to you connecting into God. That source you need to plug into is him. And you're missing that as a leader. And you keep wondering, what am I missing? What am I missing? What am I doing? Why am I not feeling fulfilled? Why am I putting myself in these situations where I keep getting hurt or where I keep not allowing good things to happen to me because I'm blocking my own blessings by being cold-hearted, by being isolated, by being easily irritated, by having trust issues and things that I haven't dealt with because I just won't plug into the source. And so my word for you today is plug into the source, guys. Plug into the source. Plug into the source and get your healing that you need. Trust him throughout this healing process. Be plugged in to him throughout the process. That could mean getting up earlier and reading your Bible. That could mean fasting. That could mean praying. It's like sometimes we have to go back to the source, but stay connected. Don't ever lose that connection. Stay plugged in. And I think when things are going good in our lives, it's easy to disconnect from the source. But if we stay plugged in, imagine the things that can happen. Imagine how much clearer our lives would look if we just stay plugged into the source. And that concludes today's episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's episode. I'm so happy to be back. Guys, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and leave me a review and let me know how you enjoyed today's episode. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace. Well, guys, that concludes our episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Allow Yourself Grace podcast. For additional information about today's episode, please click the link in the show notes below. To learn more about our Grace Girls community and other resources we have to offer, head over to www.allowyourselfgrace.com. Until next time, Grace Girls, I love you all, be blessed, and continue to strive for success.